Hi, and welcome to Factoganda. I wanted to do one episode right at the beginning to sort of explain what this is all about and the theories behind this, and I'm sure that as time goes on, things are going to change, but for right now, this is where we're at. I came up with, well, first of all, let's start with the title, Factoganda. This is a term coined by Dr. Kiki Safford in one of her many podcasts. Hello, Kiki. Um, and the idea is that there are people in this world who are trying to disinform you in some fashion or another with some kind of propaganda, whether they be left-wing liberals or right-wing Republicans or religious people or anti-theists or whatever. You know, there's some extreme group that wants you to think differently than, well, than probably science would dictate, or certainly better than what's good for you. So, the 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 term factoganda came as a way to sort of counter that propaganda with actual facts, and to put facts into little bite-sized pieces that are easy to digest, and you know, you might want to like have a bowl of them sitting around for guests. I got my start in podcasting with the Firebug podcast. My friend Chris Hendricks was doing a podcast for fire performers and well, just street performers in general, and would occasionally get asked questions that she just couldn't answer. So she'd get on Skype and talk with me about it, and I'd give her the answers, and I don't know if she just got lazy and didn't want to like memorize all of the information that I was giving her, or you know, just thought that maybe it would be kind of good to have a little back and forth or whatever. But she started the Ask Ted segment of her show, and we would Skype, and she would ask me a question, and I would answer it, and yeah, I guess that would save her a lot of time, you know, digesting the information and doing it herself. Well, that segment actually became kind of popular, to the point that we had lots and lots and lots of responses, and unfortunately, her podcast is now on an indeterminately long hiatus. Um, there hasn't been one in over a year, and I hate to admit it, but I've been getting the itch to be back and doing things, and I clearly have a face for radio, but I intend to have a lot more graphics and whatnot goes along, as you'll see in episode 2. So, what will Factoganda be about? My primary motivation for doing a podcast was when I started debating people about evolution and whatnot, and I noticed that there were an awful lot of counter-argument websites. That is, hey, the creationists say this about evolution, but this is really the fact. But there aren't a lot of evolution websites. There is one particularly awesome evolution video, and I will put the link down in the comment section, that explains what the theory of evolution is, but it does not go into the alternate science. And there are a lot of sciences involved with evolution. For example, there's an old adage, or common wisdom, or however you want to look at it. If you see, you know, two blonde, blue-eyed people who are married, and they have a mulatto child, either somebody adopted or there's been another rooster in the hen house. This is something that people have grasped for a long time, and I'm not sure if anyone did any studies on it until Mendel, but clearly it was, you know, this is the way I see Mendel looking at it, you know, like he's got the gossipy person in his life who's like, oh, those two Irish folks just had themselves a half Chinese baby, you know, kind of thing. And you know, I've got some yellow peas and some green peas in my garden. Give me a minute. And off he goes. And it was Mendel's theory that launched the field of genetics. He never actually took a direct hand in it, but that concept, the very basic concept that there is something inside each and every one of our replicative cells, the ones that we share with our mates to produce children. And it turns out with all of our cells, with the exception of red blood cells, but they're sort of a special deal. Anyway, so it got me thinking that, you know, instead of asking people who have these sort of misconceptions about evolution to go through 8 or 10 or 12 years of hard science classes, including geology, biology, physics, etc., it would be nice to have something of a primer, I'm not sure, tomato, whatever, that explains some of the basic concepts as to how they apply to evolution. And I'm really excited about a quickly upcoming episode which will involve geology. And the reason why I'm excited is because I have chosen to illustrate it with a Jello mold, and I can't touch the Jello until I do it. So that's partially what I want to do. But that's not entirely it. I liked the Ask Ted segments in the Firebug podcast, and while I do have some specialties, I do not have a specialty in everything, so I can't answer every question, but I would like to have question response kinds of things. I do enjoy a little bit of research periodically, and sometimes just looking stuff up for other people is how I get my kicks. I know I'm weird. So, trying to do evolution podcasts, trying to answer your questions, ranting about stuff that pisses me off. I think that's about what we're talking about here. So, because of the nature of Google and the internet as it stands this year, 2014, you cannot create a YouTube channel or a Google Plus account or a Gmail account without kind of creating all three. This feels a little big brothery to me. On the other hand, it was rather convenient because now there is Factoganda at gmail.com, there is the Factoganda at YouTube, and there is a G Plus Factoganda account. I encourage people to send their questions, comments, etc. To any of those accounts, particularly anyone with a science basis who thinks that they've got a nugget of the grander puzzle that is the theory of evolution that they could share, that they would be willing to share. I'll post your video. Shit. Pardon. Maybe I can edit that out. And or, you know, if you're not comfortable being on video, I'll be delighted to cover the topic if you just get me going. I don't want to get into the microbiology and hardcore genetics of this just yet. I'd rather get into the theory. I had a really good school, so I started learning about evolution in about 6th grade, as it pertained, you know, basically as soon as I hit junior high. I mean, we weren't taught evolution, but we were taught, for example, geology and how we found all of these fossils, and they left the questions about what those fossils meant unanswered, at least initially. And I thought, it's because they're going to deal us the cards later. And sure enough, they did. You know, by the time we got into high school, we had all these questions about what the hell's going on with this and this and this. And they're like, hey, well, there's this theory of evolution, and you need to know about it. And voila, biology class was suddenly interesting. So, but I know that other people don't have those benefits. I know that there are people in parts of the country, parts of the world, that aren't allowed to be taught evolution. And this is a very sad thing to me. There are people in churches who say that you can't learn evolution in schools because it goes against the doctrine of your church. But what about science? You know, I don't think that science has a doctrine per se, but, you know, are we supposed to teach evolution in the churches instead of the schools? Come on, this is silly. Teach religion in churches. Teach science in schools. It's a simple thing. Well, there's your first rant. So, I am going to leave you with one of the earliest factogandists I know, Yakko Warner, singing about the world. And I'll also put a link to this video down below.
And now, the nations of the world, brought to you by Yakko Warner.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, too, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam. Norway and Sweden and Iceland and Finland and Germany now one piece. Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey and Greece. Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman. Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq and Iran. There's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, both Yemen, Kuwait and Bahrain. The Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium and Portugal, France, England, Denmark and Spain. India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal and Bhutan, Cambodia, Malaysia, then Bangladesh, Asia and China, Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Laos and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippine Islands, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, then Borneo and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana. Burundi, Lesotho, and Malawi, Togo, the Spanish Sahara is gone. Niger, Nigeria, Chad and Liberia, Egypt, Benin and Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya and Mali, Sierra Leone and Algeria, Dahomey, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Myanmar and Cayman, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Crete, Mauritania, then Transylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan.